You know, when it comes to dealing with their deadbeat baby daddies, a lot of women have chosen peace. And I commend that, because choosing peace in a situation like that takes a lot. Not me though, baby. I choose violence through and through. Ha! Hi guys, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for being here. So yesterday, a friend of mine, her name is Kavuli, she tweeted about co-parenting. I think her question was, how often do you speak to the person you made a child with? I'll put up a tweet right here. And that tweet, when I look at the responses, I was like, whoa, and it's sparked something in me. And also later on in the evening, there was another space, Twitter Spaces, or space, I don't know how to refer to it, hosted by, I think her handle is Miss Assassin. I don't know, I'll also search for her handle and I'll link it down below. She hosted a space where people were talking about co-parenting, and there was a lot of people on there listening, but there was also people speaking. I think there was about 6 women who were speaking, sharing their experiences, and some of the women who were sharing their experiences was talking about they've chosen peace when it comes to co-parenting with their baby daddies, and some of them were speaking about how they've chosen violence. I, on the other hand, have chosen both, and I want to talk to you guys about my experience with choosing peace and choosing violence and which one has worked for me. So just to recap, if you've been on my channel since day one, hey, appreciate you so much. You will know about my backstory when it comes to my baby daddies, but if you're new, I'll give you like a backstory for context. I've got 2 beautiful baby girls with 2 different men. I had my first one when I was 18 and I had my second one when I was 30. And I literally went through the exact same experience both times, even though they were so many years apart. With my first baby daddy, I was 2 weeks pregnant when I found out, and I told him. In fact, he was the one who suggested I go do a pregnancy test, because I guess he kind of figured that I might be pregnant. I did the pregnancy test and it came out positive. I spoke to him about it and he told me that I need to have an abortion because he's not ready to be a dad. At that time I was 18 and he was about 23, 24. So I told him that I don't want to have an abortion, and he told me that if I don't have an abortion then he's going to leave. And I was like, well, leave. And he left. You know, it's been 13 years and he's never been back for his daughter. He's never tried to make contact with me up until I made contact with him a few years ago. But with him, literally the last day I spoke to him was the last day I spoke to him. I chose peace. I was just like, it's fine. I'll go through this pregnancy by myself. I'll raise this child by myself with the help of my family. And I was just like, you know what, it's fine, whatever. I choose peace. I'm not going to chase after you. And it was so hectic for me because me and him were in the same school. So I used to see him every day with different girls. But I was just like, whatever, bruh. Like, this is what you're choosing to do. I'm going to move on from it, and I don't want it to affect me. And it didn't, you know. I went on for years not talking to him, not bumping into him, not hearing anything about him. I literally went on for years without even knowing that he existed. He could have been dead and I wouldn't have known. When my daughter turned 10, she then started asking questions about him. So everything that I've worked for, the peace that I've worked for, I was just like, okay, cool, now it needs to just go out the window, because my daughter now is affected by his absence. I wasn't affected by his absence, but my daughter was. So I reached out to him, and to my surprise, he was very receptive. We went and met for dinner after 10, 11 years of not speaking or seeing each other. We met for dinner and I told him that you need to be a parent, you know. And mind you guys, he's never been there financially. He's never been there, like, period. I told him that he needs to start being a parent, you know. And at that time, I was just like, it doesn't even need to be about money. I just need you to be a parent. And what's even worse is that my daughter was based in Durban and he's based in Pretoria. So you don't even need to go out for ice cream and meet and pretend to love her. Just video call her. You know, that's all she wants. She just wants to know that you exist and he wants to be acknowledged by you. And he was just like, no, I got you. I'm going to do my best. At that time when we met, it was in May. And my daughter's birthday is in September. So he says to me that by her birthday, can I give him time? By her birthday, he would have contacted her. The reason why he asked me to give him time is because he's married and his wife doesn't know that he had a child, a very old child. You know, it's not like he cheated on his wife. Me and him dated in school. He had this child in school, and he had another child after my child, not with the wife. So by the time he met this woman, he had 2 kids, but this woman only knows about 1. So I don't know if she knows about my child now. I don't care. So meeting him, and then he told me to give him time, and in September he's going to reach out. September came, he never reached out, and I took it, you know what, clearly he doesn't want to, whatever, moving right along. But one person who couldn't move on from that was my daughter. So I think she realized that I didn't care to speak to her dad, so she went to her grandmother, her paternal grandmother, and asked for his number. So she reached out to him, and he basically told her that he wasn't ready to be a father to her because he doesn't know how to be a girl dad. I don't even know what that means, because parenting is parenting, whether you have boys or girls, it doesn't matter. But I was just like, whatever, clearly he just doesn't want to. That broke my daughter, and it made me feel guilty because I chose peace, you know. In dealing with this, I chose peace, but it caught up with me 12, 13 years later, because now my daughter wants to be in contact with this person I don't know. It's been 12 years since I last spoke to him, saw him, or had anything to do with him. So it's been very obviously hard to try and reach out to him and try to get him to be a father. And as a result, I feel like I failed my daughter by choosing peace for myself. I failed my daughter because I didn't give it a try. I didn't fight for her dad to be in her life. Even though it's not my fight, but I do feel like maybe I could have fought for him to be in her life, and maybe things would have been different. So when I felt pregnant the second time, I knew to do things differently. And boy, did I do things differently. I found out I'm pregnant, and I tell my baby daddy, and he's excited. To my surprise, he was excited. Me and him were not really dating, so I didn't expect him to be excited. And he was excited, but then one week he's just like, oh, you need to have an abortion. The other week he's just like, oh, I can't wait to be a dad. So for me it was a bit confusing, but I told him that I don't care whether you're here or not, I'm ready to have a baby. I was 30, I'm financially stable. My first child at the time was 11, 12 years old. So like, it's been forever since I last had a child. And hey man, I felt like it was about time, you know. So he's just like, cool, he respects my decision, and then we continue, and he promises to be there through the pregnancy and stuff, and we move on. Cool, life is great. Me and him worked in the same company, right? So and there was this like drama about dating in the company, so I just didn't want to be part of that drama. So I tell him that, listen, I'm just going to find a new job, and I'm going to leave, pregnant or not. I don't want to be here when all of this explodes, because we are not allowed to date at work. And chances are I'm the one who's going to be fired, and I'm the one who's going to be in trouble, because, you know, you guys, the woman always catches the slack. In anything that happens, the woman always catches the slack. So I was just like, let me save myself from that, and I got a new job, and I left. When I left the company, I was 4 months pregnant, right? My last day in that company was Friday. I spent that Friday with him, and things were good, man. Like, he was promising me the world, excited about being a dad and all of that stuff. I was supposed to see him that Sunday, and I don't know what happened, we didn't. On the Monday, I'm preparing to go start my new job. I'm excited, I'm gonna talk to my man, honey, and you know he's gonna call me and wish me a good day at work. Wait, I get a call from a woman who is this person's wife, and she tells me that she's also pregnant, and we're basically 2 weeks apart, and she tells me that I'm gonna be a single mother because he's not going to parent my child. How do you tell another woman that basically this person is not going to parent? Also, you don't control other people. If he wants to be a father, he'll be a father. And then during that phone call, she said something to me that I carried. You know, she said to me, who else knows about this? I'm like, obviously the people we work with, our friends and stuff. And she's just like, okay, keep it that way, make sure nobody knows. So I was just like, okay, cool. I guess I see what kind of people you guys are, the kind of people who portray to have a picture perfect life, and I'm gonna remember that. So immediately after that phone call, I now tried to get a hold of him to be like, what the hell is going on? Why am I getting these phone calls? What's going on? And he blocked me. He blocks me from WhatsApp and phone calls and stuff. And I was just like, okay, cool. So I'm blocked. I start my new job and I'm just like, you know what, let me focus on my job right now. I'm new here and I don't want to think about him and what just happened. And I go on about my life for about a month, and he doesn't reach out, nothing happens after that. And I'm just like, okay, cool, I know what time it is. Like, I really know what time it is. But for me, I was just like, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Because we work together, we have mutual friends. I can find you. I can come to your workplace and embarrass you. Like, what's wrong with you? But I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Clearly he's done. Clearly, I mean, we're here now. I remember that he's big in church. So I do a lot of digging and I find his church. In finding his church, there was a number there. I called the number, and luckily the person who answered the phone was the right person. So the person who answered the phone is just like, oh, I know who you're talking about. His dad and my dad are friends, basically. The person who answered the phone, his dad, I guess, owns the church or something, and then my baby daddy's dad works for his dad. So he was just like, I'll talk to my dad to talk to his dad, and I will make sure that someone contacts you by Monday, whatever. Now, someone does contact me by Monday. It was his dad, my baby daddy's dad. And then I'm just like, okay, cool, time for you to contact my mom. Because at that time, the reason why I went through all of that, because I'm a girl who comes from a family, a traditional family, so my mom was just like, this is big up. There was drama in that family meeting, but the agreement is he needs to unblock me, and he needs to be there for the pregnancy, and then I need to come back with the baby when I give birth to introduce the baby to the family. Cool. He never unblocked me. I didn't care. He never wasn't there for the pregnancy. I didn't care. It was just like, whatever, you've shown who you are. The day I give birth, something in me was just like, you know what, just call him and tell him you've given birth. I asked for my mother's phone because I'm blocked. And my thing is just like, you're not even going to unblock me in March when you knew that I was due in March. At least unblock me that time when you know I'm giving birth. But anyway, I use my mom's phone and I tell him that I've given birth. To my surprise, he comes to the hospital and he promises to be there for the child, and he just apologizes for whatever. We move on from it. The first month of the baby's existence, he was there. He would call, video call, text, check on the baby and stuff. He wasn't there financially, but he was there. And I appreciated that, because growing up without a present dad and now having raised my first daughter without a present dad, I appreciate presence more than I appreciate money. I mean, obviously money is appreciated, but your presence is number one. So I really appreciated that. And then a month after that, he stopped. He blue ticked me, he stopped taking my calls. When it comes to the child, he wouldn't respond to anything. And I was just like, okay, cool, I guess we are back to pregnancy days. We are back to square one. The second month goes by, and I'm like, okay, cool, if you're not going to be present, I need money. I was on unpaid maternity leave, you know, because I started my new job when I was 4 months pregnant, so I didn't qualify for maternity benefits. So I went on unpaid maternity leave, and you guys know how having a new baby is already financially taxing, but not having been paid for a couple of months, that's even worse. So I literally had no money. And even with me not having no money, I still wanted him to be present. Yeah, he had his full salary. He wasn't affected, you know, but I still didn't require money from him because his presence meant more. But when he disappeared, I was just like, then we need to do money, because clearly you can't be a present father, then you're going to be a financial dad, and that's all you're good for. He sent me like a once-off 1.5 or whatever, and I send him a text, and I'm like, I got your money, but now I want to know, is this what you're going to be sending me every month going forward? What are we doing here? You know, blue text me. And then on the third month, the baby was about 3 months, we then take the baby to his family to go meet the family. Because I gave birth during a pandemic, it was very hard to do it, because it was supposed to be an immediate thing. Like, I think 7 days after giving birth, I was supposed to take the baby there, whatever. But because I gave birth during a lockdown, we couldn't do that. So in 3 months, when the regulations eased up, we went to his family, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. His family was really receptive, and my family, because there was drama in the first meeting, and it was great. The only thing that wasn't great is that his wife was there. And I'm not saying it wasn't great that she was there. I mean, she's part of the family. It's fine if she's there, but her attitude, you know, she made it very clear that she will never accept my child, and she made it very clear that he's never going to parent if she's got anything to do with it. So in that, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? That he's not going to have anything, he's not going to parent, because she said that. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's just like, it means that he's not going to parent. You're a single mom, basically. And his family, his dad is just like, okay, cool, she can feel however she wants to feel, but we accept the child into our family. and Amanda can bring the child here, and then we can visit the child where Amanda stays, that's good. And the family kept it at that. You know, they kept their promise. They would come see the child in my house, and it was good. He wasn't involved at all. So even without his involvement, and because we spoke about finances even in the family meeting, and he was just like, he doesn't want to send me money because I was asking for 3,000 rand. And he was like, he's not going to send me money because it doesn't take 3,000 rand to raise a child. So what he's going to do is all the things that I claim I'm paying for, he's going to do it himself. So medical aid, he's going to put the child on his medical aid, and the nappies and milk and everything that I need, he's going to drop it off. He never put the child on medical aid, and he dropped off the nappies and milk once. Life continues, and at that time I'm just like, I'm pressuring him, since you're not going to be present, and you know how important presence is. And this man knows, because he's the one, he knew my story with my first baby daddy, and he kept telling me, I don't know how many times he told me that he would never do me how my baby daddy did me, and no matter how bad things get between us, he will always be present and he will always be there for the child. But then he went and did what my baby daddy did, only thing 10 times worse, you know. So I was just like so confused about that. So I was just like, you know what, since you're not going to be present, you're not going to have to send me money. And he would like literally blue tick all the time. So one time he then says to me, he texts me, and then he says that him and his wife have separated and he's moved back home, which now means that he can be a parent. So basically proving that the reason why he hasn't been around or been a parent because his wife has, I don't know, his wife forbade him from being a parent. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. I can't even say it because it's just so ridiculous. How does someone forbid you from being a dad to your own child? But that was his excuse. So he tells me that he's moved back home, so it's going to be easy enough for us to co-parent because there's nothing in his way. And for a good 3 months he kept at that. You know, the child, I would drop off the child at his home. There was times where I was admitted in hospital, they took the child. It worked, like co-parenting worked. We spoke about the child, he contributed financially whenever he could, he was present, and we co-parented very nicely for 3 months. So come January, in January 2021, I'm assuming that him and his wife worked things out because I got blocked again, you know, blocked, unblocked, blocked, unblocked. That was just his thing. I got blocked again, so I'm like, okay, cool, I guess him and his wife are back together. So I sent him a message, and I'm like, I take your silence as you and this person are back together, and I know what this means. It means that you're not going to be a parent. If that's the case, I'm going to need you to be I'm going to need you to be financially responsible, because there's no way I'm handling both the physical aspect of it, emotionally and financial part of it, you know. Ignores. And in January, I would then make a decision that, you know what, I'm going to move back home because I'm not coping emotionally with raising a child by myself, because I was so used to co-parenting now and having someone to like help me out whenever I couldn't, and now all of a sudden this person has decided that they are chucking up the juices, so it's cool. I send him a text. I'm like, listen, I'm moving home at the end of the month, so basically you've got 3 weeks to come see your daughter. I even went as far as telling him that you can come when I'm not home. I'm not home between 11 and 1. I'm at gym for 2 hours every day. Come during that time, see your daughter and stuff. He's straight up said, so I said no. He's straight up said no. Cool. That's what you want to do, it's fine. But every week I didn't stop reminding him, hi, I'm moving back to home. I'm moving back home next week indefinitely, so I don't know when you're going to see the child. Blue tick, blue tick, blue tick. And then I said to him that, you know what, since you are clearly not trying to be a present dad, you're going to have to be a financial one, and I am going to take you to court. And then he blocks me when I tell him that I'm taking him to court. I was like, whatever, it was just a courtesy text. I go to court literally the following day, and the process for me was quite smooth. If you guys have watched my first video in my journey with maintenance court, you will know that my process with the maintenance court was actually quite smooth. I got there, I was out of there by 10 a.m. So I filed for maintenance, and then they gave me papers to serve him. So I filed on the 21st of January, and then on the 25th of January, I went to go serve him. So I was going to serve him at work because his work is closer to my home. But then because of the pandemic, his office, they're working from home, and I think he knew I was going to serve him, so he didn't go to the office at all. So I get advice that I need to go serve him at his home in Gatle home. Mind you, I don't know anyone there. I don't know which police station to go to, but people did help me out, and I end up going to the Vosloorus police station. And when I get there, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm hoping to get help. Like guys, you know, when things work in your favor, my ancestors, my gods, the universe, everything, my angels, everything was working for me. When I got to the police station to get 2 cops to go serve him, guess who was there? Him, with his significant other. They were both there. I don't know, they were probably certifying some stuff. I don't know what they were doing there, but they were there. He tried to run, but the cops were like, The cops called him back, and he came, signed the papers. Good, we move on. What I came here to do is done, and it was seamless, because it's not as dramatic as I thought. Because if I didn't find him there, I don't think I was going to find him at his home. I don't know. It was going to be a mission, you know. So everything worked out in my favor, and he signed the papers, and we were supposed to meet in court on the following month. Literally that Monday, it was the 25th of January, I served him. On the Thursday, the 28th of January, 2 cops come knocking to my house, and they just like, okay, cool, are you Amanda? I'm like, yeah, but luckily they were very, very nice cops. You know, they come in, they asked me to make them tea. I'm just like, okay, cool, this is nerve-wracking. Luckily I wasn't alone, I was with my friend Ayanda. And we sit down with these cops, and then these cops are just like, there are 2 people at the gate outside your estate. Obviously they couldn't come in because we don't know what the situation is, so we are here to basically serve you papers because these people are saying you are harassing them. So basically they served with a restraining order. So the cops give you the papers, and the cops are very chill. We sit down, and they just like, do you want to read? I read it. My baby daddy says that I'm insulting him, I'm harassing him, and I am threatening to take the baby away. He has it on paper that I'm threatening to take the baby away. When I have text of me begging him to come see the baby, when I have text of me begging him to contribute to this child, but you have the nerve to put on paper that I'm trying to run away with the same baby that you obviously don't give a fuck about. Do you understand how confused I was? And then his significant other, her thingy said that she wasn't really speaking for herself, but she was speaking for her husband. Basically, she was saying I'm harassing her husband, I'm making her husband anxiety, I'm giving her husband anxiety, which is gonna affect his income, because if he's anxious and stressed out, he can't work, and once it affects his income, it affects her, and they're all just a stressed household. And it's just like, girl. The cops then sit with me, and then they're just like, you know what, sissy? Firstly, the cops are just like, did you serve him maintenance papers? I'm like, yeah, I actually did. The cops are like, we know this. This happens all the time. It's all the trick in the book. When you serve a man maintenance papers, he then goes and says that you're harassing him and serves you with a protection order, hoping to intimidate you. So the cops are just like, don't be intimidated. Like, if there's one thing I'm going to tell you, don't be intimidated. We've dealt with these cases a lot for the longest time. This is nothing new. And also, you are dealing with a small boy. Literally, that's what the cop said. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm scared because the hell, I didn't even know what a restraining order looked like. I've never had cops come to my house. You know, restraining orders, those are things I see on TV. So for me, when all of this is happening, I'm just like, what? Like, what's happening? So the cops are just like, calm down, you're gonna be okay. They leave. And then when I look at when this protection order was filed, it was filed on the 27th. So on the 25th of January, I serve you maintenance papers. And then on the 27th of January, you go and say that I'm harassing you. Are you embarrassed? What is it? Whatever, we move on from that. So then we're obviously going to start seeing each other in court. But my thing, before I even get to the court process, when it comes to co-parenting with my second baby daddy, there's nothing I didn't try. There was a point where he said to me he's not allowed to talk to me, so I was like, okay, cool, here's my sister's number. My sister also doesn't live far from where he works, so you can literally, if you want to see your daughter, contact my sister, and my sister's obviously going to tell me, and I'm going to bring the baby, and I'll leave you guys. I'll make sure that I'm not even in the same vicinity as you guys. That didn't work. I told him that, you know what, I can bring a baby at your family home, and I'll make sure I leave before you even get there. Nothing. There were times where he would tell me that he really wants to see the baby, but his wife doesn't allow him. There was a time where I took the baby to his workplace. So his office is next to a mall. So I was like, meet me at the mall, come see your baby. I did all of that. There's nothing I didn't do to meet him halfway. Not even halfway. I did 80% of the work. All he needed to do was show up, and he never did. He never showed up. He'd make promises and stuff. So a lot of women on the Twitter spaces yesterday, we were talking about how they've also done basically everything. The women were basically talking about how easy they've made it for their baby daddies to be involved, but they still choose not to be involved. And I did the same thing. There's nothing I didn't do to make sure that this person is involved so we can co-parent maturely, and he just didn't. If anything, he went and filed for a restraining order against me. And you filing for a restraining order against me means you're filing a restraining order against your own child, because what happens is, when we met in court, before we even met in court, when I told my mother what happened, my mother sent a text to his mother to say, listen, I know that you as a family, you love my grandchild, and you love my grandchild as much as I do. You've shown it, you know. Well, the mother not really, but the father and the sisters have shown that they really love my child. And she tells her that this is what's happening, and if Amanda signs this restraining order, you guys won't be able to see your grandchild for however long, you know, this restraining order is valid for. And I don't want that to happen. So please have a chat with your son and his wife and see if something can be, you guys can come to a resolution. His mother blue ticks my mother. Blue ticks. So my mom's just like, hey, let me call her. 2 days later, my mom calls, hey, just wanted to check if you got the text. She's like, oh yeah, I got it. Okay. See you in court then, because my mom has tried. Cool. I don't know, maybe his mom was mad that I took him to maintenance court, because I remember in the family meeting they kept saying that they don't want our situation to get to maintenance court. But if you don't want the situation to get to maintenance court, then make sure that we are there. It's that easy. So maybe the mom was carrying the gripe that I took her son to maintenance court. I don't know. We get to the court, not maintenance, but to deal with the restraining order. So before you even start, the judge asks the applicant if you want to proceed or not. Yeah, we'd like to proceed. Him and his wife. Okay, proceed then. So I then asked, so in the court, it's the judge, it's the person typing, I don't know what they called, and it's the clerk. Not the clerk, he's an interpreter. And so I asked the interpreter, because he was closer to me, I'm just like, listen, what's going to happen? So he's like, the judge is going to ask you if you deny or admit to whatever allegations they're bringing up against you. I'm like, what happens if I deny? He's just like, if you deny it, then it's going to be a whole trial where you basically have to bring your proof to say, well, this is why he shouldn't get the restraining order. I'm like, if he wants a restraining order, he must get the restraining order. So the interpreter says that if you admit, then he gets the restraining order. The restraining order is granted same time. I'm like, okay, cool. So when the judge comes up, I'm like, yeah, whatever they say I did it. The judge was like, Ms. Ndlangisa, are you aware of the allegations brought against you? I'm like, I'm very aware, and I did it. I did everything that they said I did there. The judge is like, okay, cool. Then I'm granting them the restraining order. I'm like, do it, grant them. He writes there. So when he's writing, he asked me for my address. I put down the address. So the reason why he's asking me for this address is because they are not allowed to come to that address. And that's the address I live with my child. So he's not allowed to come see my child at this said address. And then when it's their turn to put their address, guess which address they put? They don't put their marital home, because they know that I'll never go to their marital home. I don't even know what their marital home looks like. They don't put their jobs, because they know you can't keep me away from a place like that. I mean, what if I have a meeting there, a job interview, whatever? They put the address of his family home, the same home where I take that child to visit. The same home where they told me, the family told me that the child is welcome. They put that address. So this child is not allowed to go to that home for the next 5 years. The restraining order is valid till March 2026. It's from March 2021 to March 2026. So this is valid for 5 years. Obviously, you're a couple. You do things together. You discuss everything. You knew what you were doing. You knew that putting that address, not only are you legally removing yourself from your child's life, but you've also legally removed your family. I don't know. Your family, his family likes meetings. They like family meetings. So maybe they did have a family meetings. Maybe the whole family came to the agreement that keep Amanda away from this house, put that address in there. I don't know, maybe that's what happens, but I would like to believe that's not what happened. I'd like to give his family, especially his father and his sisters, the benefit of the doubt, because they are the three people who have shown to be really interested in my daughter. They are the three people who've shown to really, really love my daughter. His mom, So that's the address they put, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. So that's how basically it went down in court. And I know for a fact that my baby daddy hates the fact that I'm very vocal about this. I know it for a fact. Judging from the phone call I had with his wife when she told me not to tell anyone about my pregnancy, I knew that those are the type of people who love to hide things. And I used to be that person. I used to be that person who went through things alone and wouldn't tell anyone. The situation has taught me, dealing with both my baby daddies, they have taught me that men bank on our silence. And that's why, and they bank on the fact that women have been socially conditioned to carry the shame of what men put us through. He cheated on you. You're not allowed to tell anyone that. That's the stuff you're supposed to deal with indoors. This whole thing of people shouldn't know your business. People shouldn't know my business, cool, but my friends will, but my parents will, the closest people to me will. But I've noticed that women, especially married women, they suffer in silence because they've been conditioned to protect patriarchy and to protect men, and I'm not one of those women. When a man cheats on you, you are expected to keep quiet. When a man beats you up, you are supposed to keep quiet. When a man is a deadbeat, you are supposed to be quiet. And I was quiet for 12 years. I kept quiet. I don't even think my first baby daddy's friends know that he's a deadbeat, because I have kept quiet about it. I never spoke about it up until I opened this YouTube channel. No, I don't think anyone knew that he was a deadbeat, you know. So when I felt pregnant the second time, I was just like, we're not going through that again. Now I'm going to tell whoever's willing to listen. Hi Amanda. Oh, my baby daddy is a deadbeat. Both of them are deadbeats, you know. Oh, my baby daddy has a restraining order against me. That's how much he doesn't want to be part of his child's life. A whole restraining order. Guys, I don't, like, for me, I can never understand the restraining order thing. I just, till today, I'm always just like, you went to the court. Guys, going to court is not easy. I've been to court for my maintenance case and this restraining order thing, and trust me, I will never go to court ever again if it's not a pressing issue. That place is not a nice place to be, but you went there and you wrote down that you don't want to ever hear from Amanda. You are putting a restraining order against Amanda. But my thing is, like, putting a restraining order against me, you're not only putting a restraining order against me, but your own daughter, because I'm the primary caregiver. I live with her. If I didn't live with my daughter, maybe it would be different, because you can still have access to her. But now you have blocked access, legally blocked your access to your daughter, and legally blocked your family access to your daughter. Do you hate her that much? Do you want to be out of her life that much? I don't think this is the last restraining order. I do believe that once this expires, he's gonna go get another one, because what I learned from that court is that it's very easy in South Africa to get a restraining order, especially if you are applying against someone who's not willing to fight you. And at that time, I was not willing to fight. I had chosen violence since I was 4 months pregnant with this person. And it has worked for me, guys. If there's one thing I'm going to tell you about me choosing violence this time around, it has worked for me. So I wanted to do this video to just show you guys that I have chosen both. I've chosen peace, and the peace didn't work out for me, because now I have my daughter, whom one time my daughter asked me that, have you ever tried calling dad and like making things work with him? And I think when she said making things work, she means like just talking, you know. And I was just like, no. And I felt so bad, because I've never tried. I've never ever tried. I didn't do anything. When my baby daddy said I'm out, I was just like, be out, and he's been out, and I've never bothered him. So this time around, I knew what to do and what not to do. And in me choosing violence, it was me freeing myself from the shame and the guilt, and I haven't carried it, and I don't carry it anymore. Me opening up this channel was one of the ways I chose violence. This channel was only supposed to be for the maintenance courts, and I knew he was gonna find it, and he did find it, because him and his wife has been sending me very damn near threatening messages about my channel. You know, they've violated their own restraining order, honestly, because when the judge explains the restraining order, The restraining order doesn't only protect the applicant, but it also protects me. So whatever you say that you don't want me to do to you, you can't do to me. So if you say that you don't want any direct or indirect communication with Amanda, you also can't. But the indirect communications I've been receiving from these people ever since they saw this channel, they're trying to silence me, they're trying to threaten me, and I'm not shaken. Guys, I'm not shaken, like, at all. But it's the fact that they've done that. Getting back to the point of this video, I want to talk about co-parenting, my co-parenting with my baby daddies, or lack thereof, because I don't co-parent with them, inspired by obviously yesterday's conversation on Twitter. And also just address the fact that I actually can't co-parent with one of them because he's legally made it impossible for us to talk or have any kind of communication. But at the end of the day, I know that when I finally have a conversation with Milani, I've got something to say to her. I will be able to say I tried. Unlike with the situation with my first daughter, where she says, "But mommy, did you try?" And I said, "I didn't try." I know it's not my responsibility to try. I know it's not me to fight for her dad to have a relationship with her. But I do wish that I had done more than just being like, "Okay, cool, bye." You know, and this time I did way more. I did more than I should have, you know. And so basically what the point I'm trying to make is that I've chosen both peace and violence has worked for me. I know this sounds wrong. But violence has worked for me, and I will continue choosing violence up until I feel like, okay, cool, this is not going anywhere. But violence has worked for me. Violence has gotten me 1,000 rand per month from him. It's not a lot, it's what I settled for. But if I didn't choose violence, I wouldn't even have 1,000 rand. I'd be sitting at home raising my child alone once again, while he continues his life the way he wants to continue his life and act like he doesn't have another child. If you want to act like you don't have another child, that's fine, but you're going to feel it in your pocket. You know, you're going to feel it somehow, because I feel it every day in every possible way. When my baby gets sick, I feel it. You know, not only financially, but I feel it. When you're the primary caregiver, you give way more to your child than someone who's just the father, who's sitting wherever he's sitting and sending money. So point of this video is that, guys, I've chosen peace and violence, but violence has worked for me. And let me tell you something. If you have it in you, choose violence just once. Choose violence. And obviously violence is not beating people up. You guys understand what I mean when I say choose violence. Violence is standing up for yourself. Violence is standing up for your kids. Violence is standing up for what's right and being like, I actually don't care who knows my story. Like, I've come to a point where I don't care who knows my story. Like, I've kept the shame for so long. For 13 years, I've been carrying the shame of being a single mother and protecting these deadbeats. And now I'm at a point where I just don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care how you look at me. I don't care how you look at me, probably thinking, oh, I don't know, you're bitter, you're mad, you want attention. I don't care. But for me, choosing violence heals me. It has healed me. You know, choosing violence also doesn't not only heal me, or probably heals other women too who are not yet ready to choose violence. But sis, let me tell you, when you are ready to choose violence, DM me for support. Mandy Yangi that on all platforms. DM me and we will go through this journey together. I'm very supportive for women who choose violence, and even for those who are not ready to choose violence, because I haven't always chosen violence, so I do understand where you are at. But when you're ready and you want a stranger who doesn't know your backstory, who doesn't know your story, who's not going to be any type of way, is not going to take your baby daddy side, DM me. I'm here for all the women, whether you want to choose violence or not. But Mina, violence has worked for me, and it continues to work for me. And eventually I do want to stop being violent. I mean, it's not fun sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's fun though. Like, violence has helped me. And if you are like me, you have chosen both peace and violence, please do comment below. Tell me which one worked for you. Or if you are choosing peace, how is it working for you? If you're choosing violence, how is it working for you? And once again, choose violence. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for watching till the end. I will see you next time.